back at the nurseand.com podcast. We're going to jump into that free audiobook reading of the published short story fiction series, The Mental Files by Nurse Ann. Right now we're in book 1, which is The Mental Files, Sheep Among Wolves by Nurse Ann. We're going to jump into chapter 7 after I give you a quick catch-up session. In chapter 1, you met Julie. She was alone on the street trying to fend for herself amongst all the predators and the ravenous wolves. She was like a lost little lamb. She had run away from that boarding home, and her caseworker, Lita, and Officer Leon finally were able to find her and get her to the ER, and then she finally made it upstairs to the mental health ward where the nurses and the treatment team could take care of her. And then Lita and Leon were called back to the bridge for Joshua, who was contemplating the unthinkable since he had relapsed. But thankfully, they were able to help him too, and right now he's in the ER having to spend the night while he waits on a bed upstairs to open up. In the meantime, the officer asked the caseworker if she wanted to get something to eat after their long, stressful shift. She didn't know if it was a date, but she was hungry, so she said yes. Then they went out on their quote-unquote date. She's really liking this guy, he's liking her, but she's getting a lot of red flags in her conscience. She hasn't had attention from a guy in a long time, so she's kind of ignoring those red flags, not sure whether to go with her faith or her feelings. So we're going to get back to the ER, where Joshua in chapter 7 has to spend the night. And this series is available on Amazon, on paperback and Kindle. If you want to just jump ahead and get the whole series, there is 6 stories, and you can get that complete season in book 10, which is The Mental Files, First 6 Stories edition by Nurse Ann. And you're going to love that series. It's drama, suspense, romance, danger, faith, and inspiration as those frontline workers try to rescue those in crisis, mental, physical, and spiritual. Not to mention all the inner thought strongholds, drama, and relationship drama of the workers. So let's jump into chapter 7, where we do this audiobook reading for free. And then on the podcast, I break apart the chapters as it relates to our own life drama and inner thought struggles. We get some biblical prescriptions to help us, some wisdom, some inspirational wellness from the files of nurseand.com to help us navigate this life journey. So we'll go ahead and jump into chapter 7. Chapter 7 of the Mental Files, Book 1 is Joshua Spends the Night. Back in the ER room, Joshua's laying on the hard stretcher mattress, which didn't help his chronic back pain. At least they're not calling my wife and kids and telling them that I died in the river, thought the overwhelmed man. Finding out that he had to spend the night in the ER before he could go to the psychiatric unit in the morning was not a very comforting thought, especially when the patient in the next room over was intermittently cursing and yelling, and hearing the lady across the hall throwing up was not his idea of relaxation music. Calling for the nurse, he asked, "Hey, can I get an extra blanket in here? It feels like a refrigerator." "Nope. Psych patients only get one," came the curt reply from the staff member watching the patient. "Well, can I at least have a little snack to make it through the night?" questioned the cold patient. "Geez, what do you think this is? The Hotel Hilton?" answered the arrogant staff member to the depressed man. "Whatever, here, some graham crackers and peanut butter. It's all we've got." "Could I at least have a juice?" tried Joshua. "Here, there's water. Now leave me alone. I've got real emergency patients out here," remarked the busy nurse. Too tired to argue, Josh laid down on the stretcher in defeat. That's my whole life, he thought. One big defeat. While Joshua tried his best to settle in for the night in the ER, Julie was already asleep upstairs on the mental health ward. Maybe her fragile body and mind could finally start to heal. And that's the end of chapter 7. And before we jump into the next chapter on the next podcast, we'll go ahead and break this apart as it relates to our own thought struggles, drama, life struggles of those and our loved ones and those around us. And as I said, if you want to get the whole series, get a jump on that. It's available on Amazon. Book 1 is The Mental Files, Sheep Among Wolves. Book 2 is The Mental Files, Dr. John Doe. Book 3 is The Mental Files, A Tent Under the Bridge. And then the next story is The Mental Files, Defenders of the Weak. The next story is The Mental Files, Ready, Willing, and Able. And then the season finale is The Mental Files, Out of Control. And thankfully, to help save you money, I put them all in one book at the end, and that's Book 10, The Mental Files, First 6 Stories Edition, where you can get the complete season in one. There's a lot of adventure, action, advocacy, and awareness. We go through a lot of different struggles. There's thought disorders, memory disorders, autism, homelessness awareness, and people trying to help. There is drama in the church, drama with the frontline workers, drama in the community, sometimes placing others in danger, among lots of other advocacy for addictions and thought in mood disorders, depression, sadness, despair, anxiety, people getting bullied, so much more. So you're going to want to check that out, check that series out. And right now we'll go ahead into the filesofnurseann.com. And nurseann.com is a website for inspirational wellness and a ministry to inspire, to advocate, to encourage, and to create. There's a lot of tabs there that you will enjoy and that will help you get some inspirational wellness and some ideas. And we're going to jump into breaking apart this chapter. So Joshua, unfortunately, had taken himself to the bridge, was contemplating the unthinkable. He thought his whole life was a defeat. He had relapsed and having some troubles in his family. A lot of us can find ourselves feeling that our life is a defeat, or we're in way over our head. Maybe we feel like we're drowning and don't know what to do. So I do want to encourage you, once again, a favorite scripture from Psalms is, "The Lord is near and close to the brokenhearted." And he loves to save and rescue those who are crushed in spirit. So when we feel like that, I encourage you to get some help, and don't forget to cry out to the Lord. Cry out for help, cry out for answers, cry out for comfort. And he loves you, so he promises to help you, send you to the right people, give you creativity for answers. But please, please reach out, get some help, and spend that time also in prayer and asking Jesus to save you, and he will, and he'll guide you and keep you and help you back up on the right path to make something beautiful, beauty out of ashes for your life. And the same goes if you have a loved one, if you're taking care of someone in that same battle. Pray for them, help them get the help they need. Seek out for encouragement, inspiration, and answers, and please don't give up. So let's jump into the word puzzles, which is from the filesofnurseann.com. And that's also a published devotional, which is Word Puzzles Devotional. And that is interesting words linked to real life struggles and biblical prescriptions that are relevant to help us on that journey. That's a interesting devotional that you'll learn new words, get inspiration and guidance and wisdom. But we're going to jump into those where I go ahead and read those word puzzles here. And we're going to spin the wheel and see which word puzzle we will do today related to our reading. All right, so today's word puzzle comes from the letter D, and the word is dauntless. And what that means is invulnerable to fear or intimidation. And I personally feel like daily inspiration is needed for this trait. In 2 Timothy 1:7, we're reminded, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. When we spend that quiet time with God and allow Him to shine His radiant light on what we need to face and asking for His help, this yields a recipe for allowing His power to be infused when we need it, which is every day. Not to mention, it can help us develop the fruit of love towards others during this process. And although we're going to be tested on this on a regular basis, once again, daily, that's why we come right back to our Heavenly Father. And I know I definitely need His help constantly to have that kind of forgiving love. And another byproduct of spending quality time on our knees and in His Word is the development of a sound mind. And as is His specialty, Jesus will work all of this together to infuse us with courage to endure and to also help and advocate for others. In Isaiah 41:10 says, "Don't fear, for I'm with you, and don't be dismayed, for I'm your God, and I'm going to strengthen you and help you and uphold you with my righteous right hand." So there's just a little bit of a biblical prescription to help us to have that trait of being dauntless, invulnerable to fear or intimidation. And I know that's a hard one, and we do need daily inspiration for that trait. And with that being said, I invite you back to the website nurseann.com, that's Ann with an E, where you're going to find more inspirational wellness, and there is a mental wellness tab where you can get some Christian mental health, some different biblical counseling and Christian counseling ideas, some encouragement for your journey, and some great sermons there from some great leaders and speakers to help you on that journey towards mental wellness. And there's also a biblical prescriptions tab where you can get your daily dose of wisdom and encouragement. Once again, some great speakers, some great messages there to help us, because we all need encouragement and inspiration. I know I need that every day. Also at the nurseann.com, where, of course, you're on the podcast tab, you can hear that audiobook reading of the Mental Files series and the Word Puzzles devotional. And soon coming out is Energize Health for Body, Mind, and Spirit. And that's a Christian lifestyle devotional that will be out on Amazon soon. And I will also feature that here on the podcast. So I hope you will come back so we can get into Chapter 8 of the Mental Files. Check out that fictional drama series, and we'll also do more of the word puzzles, and once again get into the files of nurseann.com. I hope you can stay inspired today and encouraged and seek out that wisdom and that quiet time. So as you go from the nurseann.com podcast, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you on the next audiobook reading.